Yo, welcome guys. Um, it's your boy Mr. Crypto Boss here, yet with another session whereby we are going to look on the markets and we'll be looking on the weekly market forecast. We'll be looking on the weekly market forecast. We'll be looking on the weekly market forecast. So we will be checking on the financial markets, different we'll be looking on different assets. So uh, it? We'll be looking on different assets and so we normally have first things first, and what we normally do first when it comes to the weekly market forecast, we normally start our analysis from we normally start our analysis from what we call sentimental analysis. And for sentimental analysis, I will normally use my FX book. My FX book. So I'll be using my FX book and show you how we normally do it. So once you go to my FX book, once you go to my FX book, so once you go to my FX book, you come to where we have community, and then you drop down there, you're going to see sentiment. When you go down there, you're going to see sentiment. So once now you are under the section where we have that, uh, later. So once now you go to community and then sentiments, you drop down there, and now here are the data. So first pair we have here is GBP USD. And for GBP USD, you can see that we have 69% of traders being on sales, while 31% are on buys. And in most cases, what we normally do, we normally join the minority. And in this case, the minority is what? The minority is not the buys, the 31%. So that will give us a hint that this week there's high probability that we will be looking for buys on what? On GBP USD. We have the other pairs, all pairs are there. When you look, like this one is USD JPY. For USD JPY, you can see that it's 48% for sellers, while 52% are on buys. So there's high probability that we are going to have um, sells this week, because sellers in this case are the minority, right? Sellers in this case are the minority. So let's continue. So now we go to our main focus. That is, we look on gold. Look on gold. Mostly I focus on gold. I mostly focus on gold. So the other pairs you can check them on your own. Once you see this the red part and the green part. So once you just bring once you bring your cursor to that, it's going to show you that if it's this one for sales, you can see it's shorts, that is our sales, 64%, and 36% for longs, which are buys. So in this case, I'll be looking for buys in this pair, and the pair is USD MXN. MXN is Mexican peso, and those ones are exotics. Most people don't trade them because of they have very crazy spreads and so on. So let me have a look on gold. Let me have a look on gold. And here it is. Here is gold. So the first one is silver, XAG USD. You can see for silver, sellers are 44%, while buyers are 56%. So in this case, based on the data we have here, we can look for sales. That is based on the data we have. We will be looking on sentiments, fundamentals, and as well look on technicals and see whether everything is right. So now, coming to gold, that is now XAU USD, and this is our main focus. Gold. Looking at gold, you can see that 41% of traders are on sales, while 59% are on uh, buys. So in this case, we will be looking for more selling opportunities on gold. If there's any other pair you'd like to check on, just follow the procedure I've shown you, and everything is going to be okay. Now, since we are now done with the sentimental analysis, looking on this data, we can now proceed and look on now the economic calendar. We can look on the economic calendar, and in this case, I use Forex Factory. Forex Factory is what I use for the economic calendar to look for the news we will be having in the course of the week, on what day, at what time, what kind of news is it going to be, and so on. So in this case, um, as you can see, as you can see, this is now tomorrow, which is on Monday. Tomorrow is on Monday. So for Japanese yen, we are going to have a bank holiday on Japanese yen. CNY, that is China. CNY, that is China. We are going to have a bank holiday on China as well. Moving forward, we will as well have another bank holiday tomorrow. That will be on the pound. On the pound, we are going to have a bank holiday as well. We are going to have that. So tomorrow there's no any major news. There's no any major news tomorrow. There's no any major news tomorrow. So let's proceed to Tuesday. On Tuesday, on Japan, we will have a bank holiday. That will be day two actually. It's going to be day two for the bank holiday. Same to China. So once you see these kind of bank holidays following each other, there seems to be a certain festival happening and so on. So do your own research and see. Do your own research and see what's really happening there in China and also in Japan. If it's festival and so on, that's why you can see we have bank holidays in 2 consecutive days, and maybe even the third day we are going to have the same. So let's wait and see. So let's proceed. On Tuesday at 7:30 a.m., we are going to have a cash rate. This is about now the monetary policies from Austria. So Austria, or the Central Bank of Austria, is going to be releasing its data on monetary policies. When we talk of monetary policies, now we are talking about interest rates. And interest rates, basically, it's about now the borrowing power. When you hear the bank has increased the interest rates, or it has paused the rates, or it has cut the interest rates, that's normally what they are all uh, talking about. So we're going to have that, and there's high probability that they are going to follow the suit with the US and have a rate pause. So if the rate pause is to happen, it's going to be at 4.0%. That means we are not going to have rate hikes if we are going to have rate pause. So we will not have rate hikes or rate cuts. Rate cuts is a reduction, rate hikes is an increase, right? So that will be on Tuesday at 7:30 a.m. 30 minutes after the release, we normally have a press conference. So what the news tells you, it actually comes if then during the news release the market sold, during the press conference the market is likely to sell as well. I hope we are moving together. So now that will be on Austria. We move forward to 5 p.m. At 5 p.m., we are going to have ISM Service PMI, that is in the US. And as you all know, or majority of you knows that I mostly focus on the US economy. So talking of ISM Service PMI, PMI stands for Purchasing Managers Index. I've been telling you that. So the ISM Service PMI, this is an indicator that measures the performance of the US service sector, and every one of you knows what services are because we all render or get services every day in our lives. Now, when we come to this new kind of news, we normally check on the actual. If the actual or the outcome is is a reading above 50, that shows an expansion. And if there is an expansion, that is good news for the US dollar. And if the reading is below 50, that shows a contraction. And if we have a contraction, that's bad news for the for the US dollar. I believe you understand that. So you can see previous was at 54.0, a slight drop, that is the expected 8. But according to me, I can expect an outcome above that, so I can expect an actual greater than the forecast. Maybe a 54, a 55. I can expect something like that. And if that is to happen, we are going to see the dollar being bullish. And if the dollar is going to be bullish, things like gold, that is XAU USD, is gonna sell. GBP USD is gonna sell. Euro USD is gonna sell, and the rest. So aha. Now, the same time, that is at 5 p.m., we are going to have what we normally call the JOLTS Job Opening. And JOLTS Job Opening measures the number of available positions in the US. What does it entail, or what does it show? It shows the job vacancies, the available job vacancies, demand for labor by employers. And generally, talking of this is all about now the strength of the job market in the US. That's what Jolts talks all about. And just a reminder, I told you that when it comes to employment news, we normally focus on actual and the forecast, or consensus. Actual and consensus, or actual and forecast. If the actual comes out, or the forecast is now the estimate, what are economists trying to predict is going to be the outcome. So, if the actual comes out to be greater than the forecast, that is good news for the United States dollar. And if that's good news for the dollar, we are going to have things like gold selling, euro selling, the pound selling, the New Zealand dollar selling. The ones which are paired against the dollar will be going against what? Against what the dollar is doing. So that will be on Tuesday. And with that being said, I don't see any other major news on Tuesday. I don't see any other major news on Tuesday. So we move forward to what? We move forward to Wednesday. And on Wednesday, you can see at 1:45 a.m. in New Zealand, we are going to have employment change quarter over quarter. The QQ stands for quarter over quarter. QQ stands for quarter over quarter. That will be in New Zealand. And you can see previously, previously it was at 0.5. This time around, they are expecting a drop. This time around, they are expecting it to drop, but let's wait and see how it's gonna be. So, actual, if the actual comes out greater than dollar. Now, we have unemployment data as well. we are going to have unemployment data at the same time, and now this is now the unemployment rate. The unemployment rate. So um, we will have unemployment rate at the same time, and you can see it was at 5.4%. They are expecting it to be at 5.4% as well. But there's high probability, according to me, we are going to have an actual which is less, actual less, actual less than. So if the actual is gonna be less than the forecast, that will be good news for the New Zealand dollar. So let's wait and see what happens there. Let's see what happens there. Moving forward, we are still on Wednesday. On Wednesday, there's other important news. On Wednesday, we are going to have another important news here, and that is now the ADP non-farm employment change. ADP non-farm employment change. Seems to be kind of a news that most people don't focus on, but it's very, very important. It's very, very important. So, ADP non-farm employment change measures the monthly change in employment s- sector across now the US. But in this case, it's not the entire employment in the US. It's specifically in the private sector. It specifically focuses on the private sector. So when we come to employment data or employment news, we normally have to check on actual and forecast. Actual, forecast. Actual, if the actual comes out greater than forecast, that's good news for the dollar. If the actual comes out less than, that's bad news for the dollar. So, while we're still on the non-farm employment change, sorry, while still on the ADP, ADP, so I'll be expecting an actual greater than. So, I'll be expecting the US dollar to buy. I'll be expecting a buy on the US dollar. That will be on Wednesday. And then, yeah, that is it. We have some other news here about the US crude oil inventories. So this one might seem as a low impact news, but have a good look on it. Have a good look on it. On Thursday, the most important news we'll be having here is the unemployment claims that is in the US. It happens each and every week. It's the weekly unemployment claims. These are people claiming benefits from the government since they are not employed. The government provides them with um, food and other basic needs. The government provides that. That is in the US. So you can see previous was at 189,000. This time they are expecting 2 or 3K, but for me, I'll still expect an actual less. An actual less. So if the actual comes out less, that means it's going to be a good news for what? For the US dollar? For the US dollar. And if that's gonna be good news for the US dollar, buys on the dollar, sells on XXX USDs. XXX USDs are the likes of GBP USD, Euro USD, and the rest, right? So that will be on Thursday at 3:30 p.m. So now we move forward to the next. We go to the next one. We go to the next one. We go to the next one, and that will be now. That will be what? So there's nothing else there. And I forgot to tell you something here. I forgot to tell you something here. We will have day three of the holiday in Japan. This is it. So we are going to have day three. So those who trade Japanese yen pairs, kindly this week be extra careful. This week kindly careful for those who trade Japanese yen pairs. This week be very careful. So let's check on Friday. Let's check on Friday and then we can conclude on the economic calendar. So coming to Friday, on Friday, as you can see, we are going to have a bank holiday in Euro. That will be French Bank. French Bank, we're going to have that one. We're going to have the governor to the Bank of England giving a speech. That will be at 3:20. And at 3:30, we are going to have employment change data release. That is in Canada. You can see it was at 14.1K. They're expecting a drop. So let's wait and see. But I can expect an actual greater than the forecast. Actual greater than forecast, which will be a good news for the Canadian dollar, which is going to be good news for the Canadian dollar. Now, we are going to have unemployment rate data release in Canada as well. You can see previous was at 6.7%. This time around, they are still expecting a 6.7%. So, there's high probability we will have a slight drop on that. We have an high probability we will have a slight drop on that. So that is it. That is it on. That is it on. Um, that is it on the Canadian dollar. Then at the same time, we're now going to have the US data, and this is the most awaited event this week. Um, the NFP, yeah, NFP. So first, we are going to have average hourly earnings month over month. Previous was just at 0.2%. This time around, they are expecting an increase. So, if we are going to have a natural greater than previous, or a natural greater than forecast, or a natural equals to forecast, that will be good news for the US dollar. So, based on that, you can look for a bullish dollar index on NFP. That is for the average hourly earnings, but now the news you can't read it alone. We have other news which will be released at the same time. And after, we are going now to have the non-farm employment change. This is now the NFP itself. And NFP measures the number of jobs that have been added or lost in the US economy, excluding, excluding what? Farming. So agriculture or farming is not included in NFP. NFP mainly focuses or includes manufacturing sector, services sector, and also the construction sector. This is now what NFP mostly entails of, right? So on Friday we'll be expecting the NFP, and previous we had a reading of 173,000, and this time around you can see the forecast is at 60,000. But for me, I can expect an actual greater than forecast. So on Friday, I'll be looking for a bullish dollar index, bearish GBP USD, Euro USD, NZD USD, Audi USD, as well as gold. I'll be looking for sales on gold as well on Friday. That is now during the NFP release. But remember, this is fundamentally. We'll be looking at the technical part of it as well. We already have checked on the sentimental part of it, where we checked on it using the MyFX book. We checked on that. So now we will as well have the unemployment. We are going to have rate. Unemployment rate. Unemployment rate, as you can see, previous was at 4.3%. This time round, they are expecting a 4.3% as well. So, um, as for me, I can expect slight, um, a slight change that is now in the unemployment sector. So I can expect at the rate to drop. It can drop by a zero point 0.1 or even a bigger margin. So on Friday, I'll be looking for a bullish dollar index in the NFP. And if the dollar index is going to be bullish, XXX USDs are going to be bearish, and USD XXX, they are gonna be bullish. So with that being said, we are done with both sentimental analysis where we started with this, and now we are done with the fundamental side where we have checked on the news. Now we can proceed and have a look on the technical part of it, the technical analysis now. We can check on technical analysis right now. We can check on technical analysis. So you can see this was our last trade last week. This was our last trade. We had this trade. This was the last trade we had on Thursday. On Thursday is when I shared this. I expected the market to drop. It dropped on Friday to a point of interest here. Then the market went up. So now we are going to have a fresh analysis and see what we expect from this market. But before then, we are on a weekend. We are on a weekend, and I would like to show you something uh, new here. So there's what we call hyperliquid. We have this site which um, mostly deals with crypto, but it helps you to know what you can expect, or how you can check them out. Let me just show you something. Uh, we call it hyperliquid. Hyperliquid. This is hyperliquid. We call it hyperliquid. You can just have a look on it. So this is gold against the USDC. Gold versus USDC. So now you can see currently gold is at 46.30, and you can see gold and gone up to 46.32. Gold had gone up to 46.32. That is now there. And here you can see market closed at 46.14. Market closed at what? 46.40, 46.14. So that was it. So what happened? If you check on the market, well, you will see the market went up slightly to 46.17, and then after going up to 46.17, the market dropped to 46.01, 46.01, and then it has bought all the way to 46.31. So watch those two levels. From 46.17 sells to 46.01, and then you take a buy up to 46.1. Anyway, that's just some insight. You need to observe it on your own. You need to observe that. So let's first do analysis on the DXY, and then we will come back to gold and I'll talk more on that. So this is the dollar index or the DXY. DXY or the index. So this, you can see this is the analysis we have been having. So Let me clear and let's have a fresh one. Let me clear and then we have a fresh analysis. Okay, it's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. So, this is the dollar index. This is the dollar index or the DXY. This is the dollar index or the DXY. And when you look on the DXY, you can see it has been having a very strong level here. And then after that, we have the high of last week. I can mark the high of last week. I can mark the high of last week. I can mark the high of last week. So on the weekly time frame, that's now my playground. That's my playground on the weekly time frame. So you can see where the market stand is at our very key level. So I can just find that to that one. And then you can see we have a gap over here. Let me mark this gap because it's gonna be crucial someday. We have a gap over there. You can see. So now you can see last week the market came to this. It tapped and then it's now trying to go up. But if you open your eyes wide and well, you will see that the market looks is forming an head and shoulders with a double what? With a double top. Then after this strong move, market came back. This might be a possible bearish flag to push the market down further. But unless the market has broken this zone and then retested, I'll not term it as bearish. I believe you get me. So what I can expect now is for this market to continue going up. And if the market goes up and then it breaks this zone, then after the breakout, we have a retest. We can continue looking for what? We can continue looking for long buys. So if you look on this market where you will see that there is this kind of a trend which the market is trying to form. I believe the trend is clear on a lower time frame. That might be on H4 or H1, that one. And when we go down, it will be an uptrend. So let's wait and see how it's gonna be. So on the on this daily time frame, I don't see anything much to look at. I don't see anything much to look at. So we have this imbalance over here. We have this imbalance over here. So as the market is will be going up, we'll be watching that imbalance as well. It's we should not ignore it. We should give it focus. We should focus on it because the market might come there, respect it, and then come down again. So you can see initially the market was trading inside this channel, but it broke out and then after breaking out came to a zone. You can see currently it's going back, which might be a possible which might be a possible retest. So we'll be following, we'll keep following and see uh, what is the market going to do. So if this market continues to buy and then come here, the market breaks, we will have another point of interest to watch, which is now this imbalance over here. We'll be watching this imbalance over here. So market breaks, retest, and then you can continue what? You can continue buying. This is a 4 hour time frame. This is H4. This is 4 hour time frame. Now, let's check on 1 hour. Let's check on 1 hour, which seems to be now the one to give us a clear path on the dollar index. So, coming to 1 hour, you can clearly see that The dollar index is trying to do something. The dollar index is trying to do what? The dollar index is trying to form an inverted hand and shoulders. If you open your eyes well, you will see that the market, so I can now expect the market to give a drop to probably around this area, which I draw a zone there. Is a very strong zone. So there's high probability now we are going to have this inverse head and shoulders what? Inverse head and shoulders pattern on gold. Sorry, not gold but dollar index. Okay. I'm very obsessed with gold, man. I don't know. So this is the dollar index. This is the dollar index. This is DXY. So as I was saying, we have a very strong zone here. So now I'll be expecting DXY to drop back here, and then we can continue going what? We can continue going up. So that's my take on the dollar index. That's my take on the dollar index. And if at this time I'll be looking for buys on the dollar index, that means I'll be looking for sells on gold, on GBP USD, and the rest. So with that being said, on the dollar index, we can have a look on the pound GBP, GBP USD. For GBP USD, I use Wanda. For dollar index, I normally analyze using capital.com. So you can see for this one, that was on GBP. This was our analysis last week. We expected the market to drop to this point, and then the market came to our point of interest, and then it went up all the way to our take profit. That was around how many pips? Those were 130 what? 131.7 pips. So let's say roughly 132 pips. Now let's just have a fresh analysis on the pound. Let's have a fresh analysis on the GBP USD. So on the weekly time frame, we normally do what we call top-down analysis. And top-down analysis, you start from the higher time frame, dropping to lower time frames. You start from higher time frames, dropping to lower time frames. So we start with this higher time frame, that is weekly. And on weekly, I'll do one thing. I'll mark the high of last week and also mark the low of last week. Now, something very interesting here is that last week, GBP uh, took out the high of the previous week and it gave us a new what? A new high. So let me mark this high of the previous week. It might be a crucial point for us to use. Remember, during our sentimental analysis check on GBP USD, we have seen that um, we have seen that most traders are on what? Here is it. 69% of traders are on sells, while that 1% are on buys. And as I have just told you, is that in most cases we intend to go with the minority. So in this case, the minority is the that 1%, that 1%. So that means we will have to be looking for buys here. So now let's go back to our technical part. So on the weekly time frame, this is it. This is what I have. This all this is now my playground. This is now my playground. That's my playground on weekly time frame. So let's drop to, we are now on daily time frame. Now coming to daily time frame, you can now see we already have an imbalance here. So the one I had drawn there for last week, but one eye, let me take it now to the imbalance point and have it there. So now um, I can expect this market to do what? This market to either sell, come here and go up, swipe the liquidity over there, and then we can look for sales, or the market opens and it goes up, swipes liquidity up here, whereby it will now give us a new high, probably respecting this FVG, and then once that's done, we can now look forward. We can look for sales. So we will wait for the market open and see how the market will be opening. We'll see how the market opens, but already we have the key levels marked. So that is daily time frame. Let's see H4. Now coming to forward time frame, you will see that initially this market has been consolidating. You will see that initially the market is been consolidating. The market is been ranging. Initially the market is been ranging and it finally broke out and it's coming back. So what I can highly anticipate for is the market to come to this, then go up to this, and then from there you can look for long, you can look for sales. So that is what I can expect on GBP this coming week. I can expect GBP to do that kind of a move. Because now, if you look on this on 1 hour, you'll see that there's that probability of GBP giving an head and what? An head and shoulders pattern, which will now push it to our point of interest. That is this one. So tomorrow we might be experiencing um, good good sales on GBP USD tomorrow. So let's wait and see how the market opens. Let's wait and see how the market opens. So that is it on GBP USD. That is it on GBP USD. Let's have a look on what? Let's have a look on. So this is crude oil. This is crude oil. This is crude oil. So it has played as expected. I expected it to drop, but it did not come to the lower zone. It came to here, and then the market went up, and it's currently uh, bullish. The trend there is bullish. The trend there is bullish. So just a simple analysis. I don't need complications on this. Just a very simple analysis. I just look for this demand zone. Yeah. So I'll be waiting for the market to come there and then look for buys. So I can expect a drop there and then we go to 130 and then we go to 130. That is it on US oil. This is daily time frame actually. And by so doing, the market will have formed an inverted head and shoulders actually. The market will have formed an inverse head and shoulders on one daily. On one day, that is now on daily time frame. I believe you can now see the inverted head and shoulders I'm talking about. Let me extract it. Let me extract it for you. So this is the inverse head and shoulders I'm talking about. I hope you can see it. This is it. This is it. So that is it. So let's now go to gold and we can call it a day once we are done with XAU, USD. So for gold, mostly I like using forex.com to analyze gold. That's what I like using to analyze gold. Forex.com. So as I had told you earlier, the market on gold closed at 46 what? 46.14. And I told you about hyperliquid. And on hyperliquid, I told you the market went up to 46.17 and then it dropped to 46.01. So tomorrow we will be trending Asian session. Look for sales at 46.17, sell to 46.01 or 46.02, and then watch out for a possible entry at between 46.01 to 4600. You first buy the market, We will check on the technicals and see where is the possible exit for the buy and where is the possible entry for long sales. So that is it on what you can expect. You can see currently the market is at 46.30. Currently the market is at 46.30. So these are tomorrow's moves. This one gives you um, an hint of what you expect from the market after the weekend. So um, let's now proceed to our analysis. So remember we are doing top-down analysis. Top-down analysis from higher time frame dropping to lower time frame. And now we will start with the weekly time frame. We start with weekly, daily, 4 hours, 1 hour. First, I'll mark the low of last week. I'll first mark the low of last week. I'll first do what? Mark the low of last week. Then mark the high of last week as well. Once I'm done with that, I'll mark this imbalance. I have an imbalance somewhere. I'll mark it and let me confirm something. I guess the imbalance is already filled. Yeah, sure. It's filled 50%, and the 50%, which is the center of this young boss, that's the one which has pushed the market down here. So that's okay. That's okay. And I'll as well mark the law of this where we have a lot of liquidity to be grabbed. We have a lot of liquidity to be grabbed over here. So I'll do what? I'll mark this uh, law. So those are the key levels I can have on the weekly time frame. Those are the key levels I can see on weekly time frame. So now I'll come to daily time frame. Now looking on daily time frame, and as I've always been telling, the market moves in these phases. An impulsive move, which is a strong move towards one direction, and then after every impulsive move, the market will give a correction, and then it will give another impulsive move. So we are still expecting an impulsive move to the downside. Now, uh if you look on this market, you'll see that yeah, you can see that the market was trading inside this, but it broke out of it. Market broke out of it. Can see that the market broke out of it. So after breakout, you can see the market is trying to come back for a retest. The market is trying to come back for a retest. So, and I have a point of interest here. I have a point of interest there, which happens to be an order block. I have a point of interest there, which happens to be an order block. The fair value gap. Okay, we have a fair value gap and an order block. So let me just mark it as one. Let me mark it as one. So that's our point of interest at 47.20 to 25. 47.20 to 25, which we might see the market tapping this week. We might see the market do its thing to that level this week. All right. So now coming to 4 hour time frame, coming to H4. When you come to H4, you'll see that the market is doing what? The market is having this kind of a downtrend. The market is having this. The market is having that. The market is having this. The market is having this. Market is having this trend. The market is having this. And so what we can do, we can just evolve. So we'll be covering now the current market which is here. We'll be covering the current market which is there. And you can see we have a very strong or a very big order block here, but I would like you to mark it on the lower time frames. This one, where the market is approaching. Remember what we have seen in on hyper liquid. We have seen the market is expected to drop to around 4600. So we will see. Then the market comes there, we go up to here, and then from there you can look for very uh, strong sells. And now that's the look on that's the outlook. That's the outlook on H4. So let me go to what? Let me go to 1 hour so that I can conclude it. So let me come to 1 hour so that I can have a clear picture. So now coming to 1 hour, you can see the trend being formed here. This is the trend formation on 1 hour. That is now a trend inside a trend. This is a downtrend inside. Sorry, it's an uptrend inside a downtrend. So that is probably a flag. Actually, this is a possible bearish flag. This is a possible bearish flag. So you can see the market there. Where currently the market is approaching. The strong zone is here, but that one you'll get it by looking at 30 minutes. 30 minutes time frame. So I'll be expecting the market to come to that so that now we can look for a buy here, and then we can look for buys to 4700. Look for buys to 4700. And by so doing, the market will have given us an inverted. The market will have given us an inverted head shoulders, which is a buy signal pattern. That is 30 minutes. That is it on 30 minutes. As well, you can see it's clear on the 1 hour time frame. So, uh, yeah. So that is it. That is it. That's what we'll be expecting. Market open. That's what we'll be expecting. I'll be expecting a drop, a sell to buy trend, a sell to buy trade. So I'll be expecting the market to sell to this zone. Market sells to the zone. That's around 160 what? Let's say 150 pips for the sell, 150 pips for the sell, 150 pips for the sell. And then from there we can look for buys. Then from there we can look for buys all the way to 4600. 4600 to 4700, that's 1000 pips. So if the market comes to 4600 and you get the entry, hold it. That can possibly go for Tuesday, Wednesday, and then from now Thursday we consolidate on, then on Friday